Yo, what's going on everyone? Guiding Light here back with another skate video. And in today's video, we're going to be going over the top 10 tips that you guys need to know in order to build here in Skate. So there's actually a lot of things I want to get into here in this video. A lot of things you guys may not have known about the build system here in Skate. So let's jump right into this. So if you're ever roaming around in Skate, kind of chilling around, and you're thinking to yourself, dang, it kind of looks a little bland, a little boring, or you've already found a great spot, you want to go ahead and set up some crazy challenges for yourself. I'm going to show you guys a bunch of tips that you guys may not have known about building. Now, the first thing you may not have realized is that when you pull open these objects, any of these build options that have this plus symbol on them, as you can see here, is actually going to be able to be edited. So if you click square or customize on these objects, you can go then and change the size and sometimes even the shape of these objects. So that is the first tip I wanted to give you guys, to actually go ahead and take another look and make sure you actually know about all the different objects that you guys have, due to the fact that there are actually so many different variations to some of these. Now, another thing I wanted to show you guys is that although it's not in the game yet, I'm hoping they add it as a feature later. Turning objects vertical is actually something that for whatever reason is not in the building system just yet. But if you actually already have an object placed, or if you go up to any other object, you can slide your object into the other one and actually then go ahead and move it in the vertical direction. So now all of a sudden you can go ahead and have a bunch of extra height to drop into some of these ramps. You can place these extensions in, and although it can be a little tricky at first to get down, once you have one of these objects down, you can just simply duplicate the item and go ahead and place another one. Now, another thing to keep in mind, guys, is that so long as the object is touching anything in the game, you can go ahead and just completely defy gravity with the object. So you can all of a sudden create these crazy challenges for yourself, or these crazy rails and drops that you'll then be able to land into. So you may not have thought about some of these different combinations. You may have just thought, oh, I'll just put this on the ground, or I'll put this on the wall. But it's pretty crazy, because if you just simply have this little corner touching this wall, now all of a sudden we've turned this little bland corner into an absolutely crazy trick spot. So there's a bunch more tips I want to give you guys very quickly. Let's actually test this out and try out this little challenge that I built, because I never really thought I was just going to make this video really quick. This actually looks pretty fun. So let's test this out really quickly. I'm going to get some extra height in, actually, because it looks like I might actually want to get a little more speed in here with this drop. So look at that, guys. Within just a few short minutes, all of a sudden, we're actually having a blast here in the game. We've just created this pretty crazy challenge, and this really is what this game is all about, is going and placing all these crazy objects down and learning how to build. Now, at first, the building looks a little weird, a little janky, honestly, and it's honestly even kind of seems like a little boring. But the thing is, you have to remember, and I really hate to compare it, but when you can, if you think about it, when we first started playing like games like Fortnite or something like that, that actually had building in it as well, or let's even compare it to something like Minecraft. When you first start, you don't really know a lot about how to build. Literally, like when we first started, we thought it was a good thing to build a small little ramp in a box. And then within a few short months, you notice all of a sudden people are building fortresses. People are going ahead and building these mansions, these whole entire cities. And so you have to remember, guys, this game's been out for 5 days. And think about what is ahead in only a matter of 6 months' time, once people have the free time and the ability to go out and start building. So with that being said, guys, there's a bunch more tips I want to give you guys to actually make the experience of building so much better and easier, and things you probably didn't realize that were actually in the building system already. So the first thing I want to show you guys is that if you ever bring open your build menu and you notice that there's this giant green ring around your build, and all of a sudden it's sort of trying to limit to the area in which you can start adding items. Now, if you look down at the bottom of your screen, it's going to say toggle camera. Once you click this, you can actually freely walk around while editing and while placing objects, meaning you can place them in even crazier spots. Or let's say you fall over and you want to know exactly where you landed. Now you want to place a ramp there, so the next time you can actually hit that jump, well, you'll be able to actually get up and move your character out of the way so that you can actually go ahead and do this. Now, the ability to build is always right there for everyone, but the thing is, you have to get super creative with it and realize that the sky really is the limit, and you have endless possibilities of the things that you guys can do with these objects. So again, in just a few short minutes, I climbed up to the top of this roof, and before you knew it, I had a crazy challenge, crazy drop, uh, another bunch of opportunities and ramps and things that you probably never thought to jump from building to building and just make some crazy tricks in the process. So again, this only took me a few minutes. We only added a few more ramps in, but we transformed this entire area into a pretty insane tricks area. And there's honestly, again, almost endless possibilities now as to what I can do with this spot, places I can jump, additional ramps I can add. And when you honestly bring open this replay editor and start messing around with some of these tricks, I mean, just look how insane this game looks and is, and the massive angles and things that you can get. It's pretty crazy to think that I'm all the way up here while there's another skater down at the beach doing tricks as well. Like, it's actually pretty wild to think. And then you have other people in the lobby that will see you doing crazy tricks, and they'll spawn in on you and try and do them with you. And it's actually so much fun grouping up and making the game what it is. So as you can see here, you can get really creative with these ramps. I wanted some more speed, so I went ahead and I added some bleachers. And due to the fact that I showed you guys that tip on how it is, you can just connect the objects together to sort of defy gravity and put them in areas you never normally would have been able to. As you can see here, I was able to take a set of bleachers, flip them vertically by just simply jamming them up against the other object. And now all of a sudden, me and this guy are all the way up here at this peak, getting a massive drop in to get some extra speed. So if you guys didn't know, when you're in your build setting menu, you want to open up the settings. You can look here in the bottom left corner. There's an ability to open up settings. Now these are only accessible when you're in your build, so you may not have known about them. But there's the thing called angle snap. Now what that does is it makes it so that when you rotate your items around, it will always be at a fixed rotation. And you can see here, you can also make it so that nobody else can edit your objects, and even so that nobody else can even see your objects if you don't want anybody else trying to steal some of the jumps you were on. So as you can see here, guys, we can place down an object, and now if we go to rotate it, instead of having the ability to rotate it freely, every time I press the button, it's only going to rotate that 30 or 45 degrees. Now, the cool thing about these objects as well is that you can use them to defy gravity. You just like I was saying before, you have to connect it to some other sort of object or building. So as you can see here, now all of a sudden you normally wouldn't be able to put a ramp here because it would defy gravity. But because I'm connecting it to this wall, I can go ahead and just place a ramp here. And I'm going to show you guys where you can use some of these in examples and make some pretty epic drops. Now, if you go into the product boxes here, you'll notice that there's a thing called DIY boxes. These boxes is how you're going to get more of the customizable objects. So the unfortunate thing is you kind of have to give up on some cosmetic drops in order to get these because you have to spend rip chips on it. But once you have all of them unlocked, you're going to have the ability to have way more fun in the game with all of these different objects. Now, honestly, I'm really hoping that they do sort of like a build overhaul update. They make it so that we can do, flip objects vertically and things like that. But as you can see, there is a way you can actually flip objects vertically right now. If you just simply jam them up against another object and you rotate it at the same time, you can flip an object vertically and then duplicate it like I was saying earlier. But it's pretty cool because now all of a sudden you can use this in combination with other objects. I can add extra height to my ramps. I can create a wall ride track. There's a bunch of things that you can do with this. Now, finally, I wanted to show you one more thing on basically when you put all this in combination with one another, because you're not supposed to be able to really put ramps down like this. But as you can see, we're going to turn this boring skyscraper into a massive challenge track, because as you can see now, if you put all these tips together, you can take these ramps and you can actually place them up against defying gravity, and then you can actually place them against this wall, against the skyscrapers themselves. And now all of a sudden I can actually use this as a drop down point. Now the cool thing about these ramps is anytime that you put them down, the game will assist you and think that you want to land on it. As you can kind of see right there, the game sort of starts to magnetize you towards these ramps. So when you learn how to place them in the right spots, or if you ever put them on these downward skyscraper angles, the game will almost start to magnetize you into these ramps and get you some absolutely crazy speed. And honestly, it does help to land a lot of these tricks a lot easier. So normally you would not be able to land jumps like this, but due to these ramps, it actually creates a safe landing point for you and for your wheels to hit and then go ahead and ramp off of it. Whereas normally you would just fall straight down half of these places and not be able to do any tricks at all. So like I was saying, guys, look, the game's only been out a week, but these are some of the tips and tricks that I've learned so far in just a few days that I wanted to give you guys and highlight. Let me know if you guys have any additional tips and things like that, and we'll have to see really how much they do with this building hall update whenever it comes out here in the future. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.